So a few days ago, Nickelodeon hit us with a whole batch of entirely new SpongeBob SquarePants episodes, the bulk of which was actually pretty good. Even though I did get a long-time wish of mine fulfilled, namely that Squidward and Pearl should get an episode together, I wouldn't call the corresponding episode whale watching all that great, unfortunately, nor any of the others outstanding, but they were thoroughly entertaining and definitely worth recommending. One that I did find surprisingly great was the episode ChefBob. In this episode, when Mr. Krabs puts in an open kitchen, SpongeBob gets stage fright and has to invent a new persona. According to the wiki, at least. And to add on to that a little bit, the episode essentially revolves around SpongeBob putting on the persona ChefBob that seems to slowly make him turn into a TV celebrity chef. And who could blame him? Who wouldn't want to be the next Jamie Oliver or Gordon Ramsay or Wolfgang Puck or Rachel Ray or Keith Who are these people? 2 seconds in and we already have Squidward being stuck in Bubble Bass's butt. This is going to be one heck of a trip, folks. Squidward, being frustrated that he can't leave the comfort of the bubble butt, goes on to insult all the customers of being the literal proof that evolution can go in reverse, giving us a taste of the tone the episode will go for from now on. What they want to focus on is a highly motivated SpongeBob preparing the patties in an almost entrancingly coordinated fashion that, you know, I would be willing to pay money for too. Just putting that out there. And yes, I know I said it before, but I still find it admirable just how into his work SpongeBob can get if no one is around to see it. It is genuinely inspiring that, unlike virtually everyone else in the world that would only give their all to impress their boss when he is around, if at all, SpongeBob only completely lets loose when he knows that he is able to make customers happy. And as a longtime burger fan, let me tell you that this is a very rare sentiment for an employee there to have. When Mr. Krabs comes along to realize that none of the customers are actually paying, but rather just stand there to watch SpongeBob prepare the food, it makes him so angry that he smashes through the wall of the restaurant to attack him. Nah, just kidding. He simply remembered his character arc and that there is no crab better suited for turning even the process of preparing food into profit. He explains to SpongeBob that he would now be working in a so-called open kitchen, which gives SpongeBob some real stage fright and anxiety. Mr. Krabs flips the situation around by instead making it seem to SpongeBob as if he is now the star of his very own cooking show. SpongeBob is not yet entirely convinced though, turns into Maggie Smith for a second, and then gives in to the sweet temptation of Mr. Krabs telling him that if he comes out of the closet he is hiding in, he doesn't get fired. What a nice guy. So, since SpongeBob still hasn't fully overcome his stage fright yet, he ends up putting all sorts of crap on the burger, including toothpaste, his shoes and what have you, and the audience is not really feeling it. And I really have to commend their voice acting here. Their transition from excited over confused to disappointed is very believable and super funny. SpongeBob, however, is at an absolute loss and hides under his grill, where he finds an old paper bag, which with a little bit of finesse he turns into ChefBob, a square-shaped tan puppet with his face on it that he can use to avoid showing his face to the customers, which in return absolutely love the cute voice SpongeBob puts on for it, or the musical aspect of it, or, you know, the fact that he is able to use his pinky and thumb as arms to hold an entire spatula. Whatever it is, the audience loves it, and so hundreds of new customers flock to the Krusty Krab to watch his show. This is a perfect moment to point out all the little visual details in this episode. I won't go into too much detail on them in this review, because I feel like those should really be seen for yourself first. But if you do watch it, do me a favor and pay close attention to the animation in this episode, because the coordination SpongeBob has with the sock puppet and the customers' reactions to all this are genuinely entertaining, as he uses a whip and magic to do anything but actually prepare food. But then, when Squidward insults a customer by essentially asking what died on his neck, ChefBob immediately picks up on that and uses the same joke on the customer. Whereas Squidward is not happy about this, it only makes the audience love ChefBob even more and now want to actively get insulted by him. What they don't know, however, is that SpongeBob is not actually the one controlling the puppet anymore, as it appears to have created some sort of mind on its own that is the exact opposite of SpongeBob's. When SpongeBob tries to sort this out with his puppet though, it only fuels its saltiness. In the locker room, SpongeBob even has to give Mr. Krabs a full list of items ChefBob demands, further turning him into an actual TV star. They grow up so fast. As they are about to leave the wardrobe, they are met by Squidward, who demands that ChefBob gives him credit for creating all the insults. ChefBob takes him up on that offer, introduces the audience to Squidward, and goes on to completely humiliate him with lines like, I was gonna ask him how old he was, but then I remembered that he can't count that high. I think Squidward heard worse though, hasn't he?
He must have been born on a highway, because that's where most accidents happen.
Whoa, what? Okay, that's an insult. What follows is an all-out one-on-one between SpongeBob and his sock puppet on the Krusty Krab counter. That again really shows off the great animation in this episode, as SpongeBob's own hand takes hold of his arm and swings him around and tries to actively drown him. All ages, huh? In a resulting sword/spatula battle between the two, ChefBob manages to get the upper hand in the fight, only for SpongeBob to, in very great detail, grab his arm and beat the ever-loving crap out of him. All ages, huh? In the end, when all the customers walk away, disturbed by this gruesome display, an angered Mr. Krabs just pulls off the puppet from SpongeBob's hand and uses a Mr. Krabs puppet to tell him that he is fired. Good to know that it was that easy to remove the puppet. Guess they could have just tried that earlier, would have saved them a lot of trouble. Squidward now also uses his own sock puppet to kick ChefBob out of the restaurant and onto the highway, where it gets overrun by cars, hopped on by children, and ultimately picked up by a detergent's vehicle. We leave the episode on SpongeBob's disgusting swollen cash register proof hand, whose pulsating leads us into a sort of epilogue, where we see what ChefBob is up to now.
And now it's time for the ChefBob Cooking with Insult Show. And here's your host, ChefBob!
Where's the lamb sauce?
So, overall, I do have to say that I found this episode to be very entertaining. Not only was the metaphor of SpongeBob portraying what actual celebrities are like sometimes, mixed with some of TV cooking shows' worst examples pretty cool, but also him going completely off the rails with his insults at times so funny to see coming out of SpongeBob's mouth? Hand? Whatever. The customers' reactions, and like I said, little animation details, like Squidward getting smaller and smaller when ChefBob insults him, makes the episode all the more clever, and me wonder if we will ever see more of this character. Similar to when Doodlebob returned recently, he definitely has the makings of a new fan favorite character in my book. Do you agree? What do you think of cooking shows like these? And do you enjoy people coming up with creative insults? Let me know in the comments, and also check out some of my other videos if you're new to the channel. That's all for now, guys. Take care.